2, 1. Merry Christmas. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Today we're going to talk data and context, but first we're going to go over here and watch a commercial because I like them.
He does exist!
They do exist.
Santa? Oh no. I have to save Christmas. Let's go! Tommy, James, Lucy, Ben, Judith.
You're right. No, the other right.
This is what happens when you don't know what you're doing. Data and operations.
Hello?
The presents.
Yes?
They're going to the wrong people.
What?
Who's Tommy?
What have you done?
Did I ruin Christmas, Red?
Actually, buddy, I think you made it even better.
There we go. Okay. Isn't that great? It shows you context matters. It's not just the gift. It's who the gift is for. Now, before I go there, I just wanted to say I ran across this. How you hold your steering wheel could seriously injure you. If you, like me, were taught 10 and 2 like this, when your airbag goes off, it hits you in the head, injuring you, and your hands might have to be amputated from the chemicals in the bag. So keep them 3 and 9 like this, okay? And when you turn, don't go like this. Go like this. And like that. Okay? You heard it here first, folks. Okay, so if you remember, we talked about dashboards. Used to be dashboards, but now they got digital and they're a mess, and we're going to talk about data portrayal. But first I wanted to share, yesterday I shared the Windham Hills story a little bit. We were talking about brand personas and how they can be important, they can be helpful, but they can also blind you, which they did in this case. They were telling me to my face that their customer persona was men. This is nice, relaxing music. George Winston did the Peanuts theme song, and a lot of that piano music that Linus played was their big star. They said, our main listeners are male, 35 to 55, high income, high education. So then here's the disconnect. They said, we rent lists like that and we don't get any orders. Okay. And I said, there's about 14 million of those in the United States. How many of these little Hummer CDs do you sell in a year? And they said, there's one, actually, is one of theirs. Ray Lynch was another one of theirs. Okay. How many do you get rid of? And they said, about 4 million. I said, did you ever think about putting in a little card inside the CD when they open it that says, free catalog available? They said, no, we never thought of that. I said, why don't you try it? And, I would have put free catalog, but they had ruined symbols or something, Celtic languages or something. I couldn't tell what it was. But even in spite of that and their creative team, we got 600,000 inquiry names, and we got, which is way more than they were renting. And so we mailed them each a catalog, and we got 90,000 new customers. Whereupon the founder of Windham Hill, nice lady, I met once, sold out to BMG for about 17 million. And I got my one-day consulting fee. Good luck with that. But you see how they had a customer persona, but the context was, first of all, overstated. 100% of their customers were not that. Second of all, the key indicator was they loved the music. That's what I call the I love you variable. But UPS. I like USPS. UPS didn't deliver my book, so I can't hold one up and show you. But I have a book that talks about how there are variables that are perfect and wonderful, but you don't know them, and you can't get them. And the customers prove they love you by ordering, which is happening after you market to them. So be careful how you market. Adobe, they had about They were this division sold clip art. Excuse me, I've got a little cold. And we were getting names from Adobe. We were getting about 3,000 to 6,000 a month. And so they were mailing them a catalog once a month for a year before they'd move on. And I said, here's context. There's got to be more names. Everybody's using Adobe Acrobat and other downloads, and we're getting the names from that. Nobody could tell me why there weren't. There was some filter at Manspay, and I said, turn off the filter. And they said, okay. And all of a sudden, we were getting 100 to 300,000 new names. And then we said, well, that's too many. But what we're going to do is we're going to mail everybody once before we come around and mail anybody twice. Okay, again, context. Inside of one building. We ignored the company name to a large extent, and we kept track of which buildings, because graphic artists tend to flock together in areas of town. And all of a sudden, we went from $25 million business to $50 million annualized in about 4 months. Those are big wins, you know, doubling. And then they sold out to Getty, and I got fired. Pet Edge, when we started with them, it was just like, hey, give it a good try. They sell dog grooming equipment, and their best customers seem to be in the Gold Coast areas, like I visualize. A lot of times we map this stuff. North side of Chicago, very, very wealthy. People live in, you know, high rises, and they have pretty little lap dogs. So we, you know, that tied out. High income, high education, high density, high dwelling value, all of those. That was in the fall, okay? People were getting their little princess puppy ready for the Christmas picture. Well, then we came around to spring, and the big move was low income, low density, low education, low dwelling value. Everything went south, and yet that's where the customers seemed to go. So I was tempted to think my computers were broken, but instead I called up a friend of mine who lived out in the country. I said, Johnny, do you ever get your dog groomed? And he said, no. What do you mean, groomed? I said, you know, doggy haircut. Oh, sure. So right off the bat, I knew there was some disconnect there. I said, where do you get it done? He said, oh, the vet, the kennel, there's a bunch of specials. I said, do you care how the dog looks? He said, no. I said, why do you do it? They said, the dog seems to like it. You know, it's getting warmer. The dog's full of burrs. Well, it turned out that there was a dog clipping market that was bigger than the entire dog grooming market, because there's probably 20 times the dogs that, you know, don't get groomed, you know, don't go to the beauty parlor, that do get clipped once a year when the weather gets warmer. So again, the data did tell us something. The data told us something was off whack. But then we had to find out, we had to push on, get the context. And we ended up growing that company 20% that year, and the next year, in a recession. In fact, I got to be quite a celebrity at the software company that they were using, because my clients grew and not everybody else. Okay, Cabela's. Cabela's was mailing every customer was getting 12 months of catalogs once they ordered, and then nothing. When I went around to the sporting goods stores, and this is another common theme, go out and talk to somebody in the marketplace, see what's going on. I said, do you ever hear of Cabela's? And this is before they had stores everywhere. And people would say, oh, I used to get their catalog. That was key. I used to get their catalog. They would mail you 12 months. And the funny part was, because there was about a 3-month window, if you bought fishing stuff, they wouldn't mail you another catalog until bow hunting, or almost hunting season. And if you didn't order another time, you got about to fishing season, and then they quit mailing you. So when we did a model, we saw that recency was not in the model. We couldn't figure it out. I called, whoops, what happened here? Oh, it's saving the document. I called my friend from Neiman Marcus, and he said, if recency isn't at the top, there's something wrong. Well, we finally figured out that what was happening was they were mailing the hunters the fishing catalog and the fishermen the hunting catalog, and the recency wasn't that powerful. You had to keep in mind the season, the hunting season. Again, context was everything. Baseball Express, I said to them, who's buying these big pitching machines? And they said, oh, colleges, major league teams. You know, I said, did you ever think about it as business to business? They said, no, we're strictly consumer. Well, we ended up doing a double-digit million-dollar, multi-million-dollar business-to-business division. We grew them from $5 million to $50 million over the course that we worked with them. Big, big, big home run. Merry Christmas. Remember, context is more important than data.